how to create a cell noise effect in Affinity Photo using procedural texture. I need a layer, so go to Layer menu and New Layer. I'm using a layer, but of course you could have just a normal image there, a normal photo you've brought in. I'm going to fill it with a solid colour, black. Once you've done that, go to the Layer menu and New Live Filter Layer, and then Colours and Procedural Texture. Now I've already created this as a preset. Bit of a cheat, but it's there already. I will put the equation in the description so you can copy it from there. Also, I'm going to show you how to quickly create that equation. I'm going to copy the equation. I want to paste it in later. With the preset, you can see it's for the red, green and blue channels. To add an equation, go to the plus. You can see a plus in the middle of the panel. To make it as if there's nothing there, I'm going to remove the current equation. You can do that by going over to the side and closing it. As mentioned, to add an equation, go to the plus in the middle on the left of the panel. By default, it sets it to 0. So paste in the equation or type in the equation if you wish. By default, it sets it just to the red channel R. So go over to the right side and click G and B to add the green and the blue channel. Go to the bottom of the panel and click the R, big R, and create A, B, C, D, E and F. I would suggest use the values you can see on screen for A, B, C, D, etc. You don't have to use those. They're the values that I'm using. Maybe your document might be bigger, so it's better to use different values. Just change them, experiment. Also, you don't need to use A, B, C, etc. You can always change them to something more useful. Maybe smoothness or distribution, whatever you wish to call them. I've just called them A, B, C. If you want to add any more custom inputs, just click the R or the -1, 1, etc. In this equation, I'm using cellnoiseedge as well as cellnoise, two functions. You can find out more about those functions via the Affinity Photo help. You can go to the procedural texture section and find out more about it there. And within the cell noise, I've got two parameters. There's an Rx divided by A and Ry divided by B. Rx and Ry are relative x, so you can move the layer around. If you go to the layer, just move it around backwards and forwards. I'm also using cellnoiseedge. That contains a couple of additional parameters. You can find out more in the help. That is C and D. You can also change the Rx. You don't have to use just Rx. You can put 0.4 times Rx or 0.5 times Rx. You can put 0.5 or whatever times Ry. And you could, of course, make those custom inputs as well. And you could spread it over multiple channels as well. You can make it for red and green and blue channels separately, if you wish, with different custom inputs. By changing the Rx to 0.2 times Rx, etc., the result varies quite considerably. As you change the equation, you can still also change the custom inputs, so you can make them 5, 4, 6, 20, whatever you wish. The result of your changes will be reflected in the preview. Most of the time, I don't normally use constants, 0.4 times, etc. I prefer to use the custom inputs, but up to you. Also, you can put additional 0.4 times cellnoiseedge right at the front, and that will vary it as well to create some interesting variation. You don't need to just use cellnoiseedge on its own. You could put cellnoiseedge bracket bracket etc. times cellnoiseedge bracket bracket with some variation. Many different ways to change this equation, as well as keep changing the custom inputs. If you create some interesting designs, you can also save the custom inputs to a preset. That's done on the custom input section on the right side. I'm not going to use that one. I'm just going to put it back to the default equation. As it's a live filter layer, you can duplicate that layer. Of course, you can add other effects as well. You can combine them using blending modes. You can make 10 or 15 layers of this cell noise effect and combine them all using blending modes or opacity to create some really extreme, weird and wonderful designs. If you spread the equation over multiple channels, so the red, green and blue, as well as using blending modes, you can create some really extreme colour effects. The equation is in the description. You can use it in any way. You can modify it in many ways as well. Hope you found this tutorial of interest. Please subscribe to the Graphic Extras channel. Always adding lots of new tutorials about Affinity Photo, Photoshop, Illustrator and many others. Also, please add some comments, always appreciated. A dislike or like. Thank you much.